When a woman realizes that she's been given all the love she deserves, only to find out she was never really loved at all, the heartache becomes too much to bear. Yet, even in the pain, she finds strength to rebuild herself, proving that she is far more than what was projected upon her. It's a strange feeling knowing that someone once thought you were worth their time and energy, but now sees you as nothing more than a passing shadow in their life. It stings in a way that words cannot capture, yet it also frees you to see the world from a different perspective. Sometimes we hold onto toxic relationships for far too long because we believe we can change something that was never meant to be changed. We tell ourselves stories to make it easier, but deep down, we know that we've been allowing ourselves to be someone we're not, just to fit someone else's ideal. The silence after the storm is deafening. The woman who once gave her everything to someone who never truly cared finds herself lost in a sea of uncertainty. Yet in the quiet, she discovers that what she thought was love was only a reflection of her own desire for approval. When you've been stripped of every ounce of your dignity, and someone tells you that you were never worth it, it's easy to believe them. But the truth is, that moment of brokenness is where the real power begins, in the ability to rise again. It's hard to accept when you've been made to feel like you're the worst version of yourself, only to realize that the person who told you that was merely reflecting their own insecurities onto you. A woman who has been torn apart by harsh words and hurtful actions might feel like she's lost her way, but in reality, she's discovering the depths of her resilience and the strength to overcome every negative word spoken against her. They told her she was the worst they ever had, but little did they know she was the best thing that ever happened to herself. It was never about them, it was about her journey back to self-love. It's painful to be reduced to nothing more than someone else's disappointment, to be viewed as less than who you are. But in that darkness, a woman finds the brightest version of herself, one that no one can ever take away. When you've been told that you were never enough, it's easy to question your worth. But what they failed to realize is that their words could never define your truth. Only you can do that. They say the worst you can be is someone who isn't loved. But the truth is, the worst you can be is someone who never learns to love herself first. Every time you're told you're not good enough, remember that it's not about who you are, but about who they failed to see. A woman's worth can never be diminished by someone else's inability to recognize it. Being labeled as the worst can feel like a permanent scar, but that scar is a reminder of the battles you fought and survived, the lessons learned, and the woman you've become in the process. It's easy to lose yourself in someone else's narrative, to become the villain in their story. But remember, their perception doesn't define your truth. You are the heroine in your own journey. She's been told time and again that she's the worst version of herself. But the truth is, she's just discovering the best parts of her soul. Every mistake, every heartbreak is only a stepping stone to her ultimate transformation. They thought they could break her, that their hurtful quits would shatter her spirit. But what they failed to realize is that the more they tried, the stronger she became, until she stood tall with a fire they could never extinguish. When you've been told you're the worst, the hardest thing is not internalizing it. It's not easy to accept that their perception is just a reflection of their pain, not your truth. The worst thing a woman can be is someone who forgets her own worth in the face of others' opinions. You are not defined by the words of those who can't see your light. In the quiet after the storm, when everyone else has moved on, a woman reflects on how she let herself be cast in a role she was never meant to play. But it's only through this self-reflection that she finds her way back to her true self. She was told that she was the worst a woman could ever be, but what they didn't know is that her worst was just the beginning of her best. She was learning how to rise from the ashes, no matter how many times she was knocked down. Sometimes the hardest part is seeing yourself through someone else's eyes, especially when those eyes have judged you harshly. But the moment you look in the mirror and see your own reflection as worthy of love, you break free from their grip. When you've been constantly told that you're the worst, it's easy to start believing it. But what if that story was never meant to be yours?